I think that this particular case, where apparently Harry's application form for his visa for the United States is going to be made public, I think that this is something that could cause him a very considerable embarrassment. It has been the Heritage Foundation, a conservative-based think tank in Washington, who bought this case, and it's been the policy of the Biden administration to make absolutely clear that they wouldn't proceed with this, and they also, I mean, one of the quotes was rather strange, that what was put in your memoir wasn't necessarily true. Now, that relates to the fact that in Spare, Harry, and also in the interviews where he promoted it, Harry admitted to trying marijuana, cocaine, psychedelic mushrooms, and the like. I mean, this is obviously discouraged strongly, and in the United States and in Britain too, of course. But this goes back to the essential mistake that Harry made. There were a series in Spare, things he shouldn't have mentioned, like a number of Taliban he took out or personally killed on his second tour of duty in Afghanistan, and also how he lost his virginity, the issue of penile, frostbite, and this sort of thing. This showed somebody who was completely as I saw it, ignoring any advice he might have received. After all, he hired a ghostwriter to help him, but not to advise him on the contents. There's no doubt that his interview with Dr. Gabor Mate, who's a very controversial figure when it comes to drugs, and what he said, that this was in fact extremely unwise. On the other hand, how that this is proceeded with, because it's very, very unusual, I understand, that someone's visa application should be made public. So this is going to be somewhat of a cause célèbre if it actually is. We know through the American ambassador in London that the Biden administration, whatever is discovered, won't be proceeding with any form of extradition. And I can't actually conceive of a future administration, even one hypothetically headed by Donald Trump, actually proceeding with some form of actual legal action against Harry personally. However, the facts of the matter are that it will be very embarrassing, or may be very embarrassing. He may have included drug use on his application form. If he hasn't, it will unquestionably make headlines, and that will not be beneficial so far as the Sussexes are concerned.
Yeah.
I don't think Harry would have written his memoir Spare now, because there's evidence that the Sussexes have in fact beefed up their communications team. The Nigerian visit could be, which was private but a sort of quasi-royal trip, could be considered a success. And they are handling things, and having to handle things given the health issues in the royal family, in a very different way. You must remember that Harry said that he'd taken several hundred pages out of Spare because of the embarrassment it would cause. And that seemed, at the time, I read that as a threat that there might be another book. I don't think we're facing that. What we are facing, however, is a possibility of very considerable embarrassment for the Sussexes. They've been made to look foolish. And the reasons for this, of course, are the attacks they've launched on the royal family, and the fact that if you attack an institution, supporters of that institution, or those who believe that you've been very unwise and very foolish and believe that there are double standards, will hit or could hit back. And the Heritage Foundation have brought this case. I suspect that Harry never, we don't know what he's put on his application form, so we'll have to wait and see. But I do suspect that whatever he put in it, that he would not have expected this case, and would certainly not have expected transcript to be released. So it has the ability to cause quite a lot of embarrassment. We do know he's undergoing therapy and so forth. We know also that he's haunted by the tragic death of his mother. But there's absolutely no question that when it came to spare, if he received advice, he didn't listen to it because it made him a national joke. The fact is, the book sold extremely well, but then the sensational does. The Sussexes are learning, if Nigeria is anything to go by, and the fact that there are projects, Harry with Polo series for Netflix, Meghan with her cookery and entertaining program for Netflix, and also with her new lifestyle blog, American Riviera Orchard. They're actually doing something now, when for a long time they simply weren't, or the only things that they were doing, which was so destructive, but which was undoubtedly successful if you take numbers of viewers and numbers of readers, were these attacks on the royal family. Now, that simply at the moment wouldn't be possible. Unfortunately, the rift is so deep, and with the continuing arguments over why Harry didn't meet with King Charles on his recent visit, whether it was because of schedules or a schedule clash, or whether now the rumor is it was linked to where he would stay and security issues. It's all a thoroughly unhappy business. The situation is that officials actually have a lot of discretion on this issue, and whereas obviously the sensational aspects of it will be headlines, nothing's likely actually to happen to him. I mean, obviously not. You would have a weird situation if in some future hypothetical situation where a Donald Trump administration might, for example, certainly they wouldn't like him. We know that Harry and we know the Sussexes and Trump are far from friendly, but in reality, not much that's likely to be done. And in reality, this is pretty much unprecedented. The fact that Reed's application is being made public, and the fact also that we know that the Biden administration won't take action. The problem for the Sussexes will be in the embarrassment this would cause, and the fact that it highlights how ridiculous it was to talk as much about drugs as he has. And I'm referring to those interviews, particularly with Dr. Gabor Mate, where it simply didn't make sense. And also the contents of Spare were very, very unwise in a lot of areas. So it will simply highlight the fact that they were not taking the advice they should have, and that I mean, it was always known that as a teenager that Harry had taken drugs, but I don't think that this would have caused much of a stir had it been briefly referred to. The facts simply are that if you make quite a lot of it, which he has, then you do have a comeback, and that is the case that's been brought against him, and that has led to what apparently is going to be pretty unusual when this is revealed. So we will see. But I mean, basically, it's his fault because he played up something. It's almost this case that the Sussexes sometimes think that they can say and do exactly what they like, and you can't. There is a comeback. But that comeback is likely to be embarrassment and no more.